So what I wanted to talk about tonight is something we talk about often, but it's quite difficult for us in the material world to actually remember on a moment-to-moment basis that we're actually a spiritual being. And I teach yoga asanas here on Monday and Friday morning, so I bike, and I was biking along the road just along here, and there's a lot of like elm trees and street trees, and the leaves were all just like blowing down the street towards me. Well, going that way anyway. But anyway, they were just like full on, and then the wind just changed, and they just all went in another direction, and then it changed, and they were just like, the leaves were just going all over the place, and just being, because they're light, right? And so they're just being blown around depending on the direction of the wind. And I thought, that's so many people's lives. That can be, so easily can be our life, that we're being blown around with whichever way the winds of life are going. And there's no sense of peace. I'm sure those leaves aren't peaceful. You know what I mean? If you're just getting blown around, like there's no peace in it, and it kind of like, getting tossed this way and that way. And Krishna describes in the Bhagavad Gita, so we're going to share this a little bit, but Krishna describes in Bhagavad Gita in next chapter 2, a person who is not disturbed by the incessant flow of desires that enter like rivers into the ocean, which is ever being filled, but is always still. Such a person can achieve peace, and not the man who strives to satisfy his desires. So the ocean, sometimes if it's stormy weather and it's like, the wind has whipped up some waves and how on, the ocean can seem, not so much out here, but if you got other coastlines, then the waves can be churned up, and maybe they can be really big as well. But underneath the ocean, the waves aren't very deep. Now, underneath it's very calm, and so there's all these rivers, especially in monsoon season or wet season in Northern Territory and so on. There's all these rivers that are gushing into the ocean, but the ocean stays calm. So we were talking about how in our life we see things all the time, our senses, our sense of sight. And when we see something, we can easily develop a desire for it. That's what marketing is about. And so, for example, on my laptop, every time I turn it on, there's another amazingly beautiful scenery shot from somewhere in the world. And there's a little caption, kind of, do you want to find out more about this? And, I know, like, there's all these amazingly beautiful places in the world. But, you look and you go, oh, wonder where that is. Wouldn't mind going there. Do you know, that's what it's for, right? To tempt you. And so, so what you were thinking?
Well, we are from birth, really. We're so used to living in this world and in this environment where we are constantly, our senses are taking in this information, and it's affecting how we live our lives. And so it just seems so normal to open, would be looking through recipe books and be like, oh, I want to make this, oh, I want to make this, or, scrolling and seeing someone wearing a nice dress and think, oh, I like that dress, that's really good, organic, sustainable brand, I need that dress, or just, if our, like it just seems kind of normal, we're just so used to it, that's our life, we go about things and we see things and we think, yeah, like you're saying, you see somewhere beautiful, oh, I'd like to go there on holiday. And it just seems normal to us. But the sages are teaching us that this is actually not a peaceful position to be in, where you're constantly being pulled about by these desires, and and to us that just kind of seem normal. But imagine if you actually had such inner spiritual happiness and peace that you weren't, disturbed by all these things that we're seeing and we're hearing, and we're conversations with people, and they went to this new restaurant that opened up, and I want to go there, and I mean, of course these things do bring us some joy and some nice experiences, but it's just this constant pulling and our attention going here, what about this, or what about this, that actually makes it so that our ability to have a peace inside is affected. And, like I said, it just kind of seems so normal. We're so used to it. That's how it's always been since we're young. I mean, look at kids and candies and just, playgrounds and all the things, it's been happening since we're little.
I didn't used to take Govinda shopping with me. Because when you take a little kid shopping with you, like the supermarket, just, compared to your kitchen at home, it must just seem like amazing. It's like there's all these things and they're wrapped pretty and, like sweets and all sorts, and be like, can I have that? No. Can I have that? What about that? Do you know? That's what kids are like. It's just this constant thing of try that, try that, try that. And we don't change a lot as we get older. We see some new product and it's like, I'll try that. If you go to a cafe and I think, that looks funny. But that one does too. Which one should I choose? If I have that one, I can't have that one. That one might be nicer. So like Govinda saying, we just take that as being normal. It's like we don't think about what that actually is doing to us, but it's actually causing us a little bit of anxiety. So all day long we have this little bit of anxiety, sometimes lots of anxiety, right? Just in our sort of daily activities, if there's this underlying anxiety, if I make this decision, well, what if the other decision would have been better? There's no peace for the heart. But the sages are called Atmarama, which means self-satisfied. So they're not agitated by anything. There's nothing in this world that agitates them, because they know I'm an eternal spiritual being. I'm part and parcel of the supreme eternal spiritual being. And the Supreme Soul wants us to experience great transcendental happiness, great transcendental bliss. That's what he wants for us. And he's inviting us home. And we go, I'm too busy. I got things to look at, I've got things to read, I've got, places to go.
People to see, new shows to watch, new books to read, new music to listen to.
Yeah, I'm too busy, and we don't have any kind of, most people don't have any deep faith that the relationship with God is going to be something that's going to be so incredibly satisfying, so blissful, that we'd be willing to make a bit of extra effort to re-establish that relationship, to enable it to blossom, because there's these layers of conditioning of covering over us, so for those layers to be cleansed away, so that that natural love, that natural relationship, it's like, it's not like, we talk about trying to redevelop our love for God. It's not a one-way relationship. He wants to have a relationship with us. He wants to have a relationship of fun and of happiness and joy and teasing and, all sorts of different types of relationships that we can have.
And that those kind of relationships and that love is actually a higher taste. It's actually sweeter than so much sweeter than what we can experience through our senses. And that we, the things in this world that we, I like hiking, and if I go on a really good hike, oh man, that's such a good hike. The view is amazing, whatever it might be. And to understand that spiritual love will actually bring us so much more joy than that. That is just a dim reflection of the potential of the happiness and peace and joy that we can experience from that a spiritual relationship with the Supreme and that spiritual love and happiness inside.
So learning to be reflective in our daily life instead of just, like Govinda was saying, this is just normal for us, just normal daily life. But if we can actually step back and observe the way our mind operates and how the mind will come through with something and the senses see things, and then it's like, that's where I want to go, and that's what I want to do, that's what I want to experience, that's what I want to taste, And so when we can see that is what's happening, the senses are always looking outwards, and the mind is always ready to just tempt and tease us, always something else. And so to at least be aware of it, right? It's the first step in our spiritual journey, is to be aware that we're actually just being pulled around, pushed around, like the wind blowing those leaves. We're just getting, swapped around all the time, and we don't know it, we don't realise that. It's just, So we're encouraged in Bhagavad Gita. Krishna teaches us how to be more reflective, how to understand who we are, and how to be able to have that time to step back and just, I'm not going to follow my senses. That sometimes people will go somewhere and do a silent meditation, and the desire of the tongue to speak, the desire of the eyes to connect with somebody else, is really, really strong. If you're living with somebody, you can, just naturally, if they're in the same room, you're naturally going to talk, right? And you've probably all experienced where someone goes to tell you something and then they decide not to. Maybe they've been asked, keep it a secret, or, just keep this to yourself or something, right? And they're going to tell you and then they remember. And then how does that make you feel? What were you going to say? Do you know what I mean? And to have the ability to just go, no, I'm not going to say it. It's not so easy, because the mind and the senses they just harass us all the time.
And that's the importance of a daily meditation practice, coming together and chanting is so wonderful, but actually having some time you take out every day to practice your meditation, and that helps with that daily reflection and that ability to be able to stand back and look at things in the more spiritual perspective.
Yeah, looking long-term instead of short-term. There's a word called shreyas, and it's like with a child, they just want to play, and the parents know the child needs an education because they're looking at long-term, what's going to benefit the person long-term. So the sages are like that with us. They're trying to encourage us, look long-term, don't just look for a short-term, quick, now, instant.
That may require a little bit of austerity in the short term for the benefit of the longer term.
Yeah. There's some things to think about, reflections. Thank you so much.
Thank you.